All right. Hey, everybody. Today we have a discussion, an open discussion on creationism and geology, and we're starting right now. So buckle up because this is going to get exciting, everybody. This is the topic that you guys love. And remember to send in your questions at any time. And tonight we have Jungle Jargon with the Frustrated Atheist. I am moderator Matt, filling in today with Praise I Am. And I just wanted to remind everybody that if you're a fan of debates, please subscribe now. So without further ado, let's get started. We have a 10-minute opening presentation coming in from Jungle, and then we're going to jump right into an open discussion portion for 1 hour, followed by 20 to 25 minutes of questions and answers. So going first, we have Jungle, and whenever you are ready, we will begin time when your presentation is set and ready to go.
Okay. So is it showing?
I see it.
Okay. Just go ahead and start. Of course, these are going to be my personal beliefs, and if you can show evidence to the contrary, I would like to see it. Science is one thing, philosophy is another. Geology is evidence of the global flood. It contains sediments that were all deposited by water. These sediments show that the earth that was is no more. It was completely and utterly destroyed by water. The evidence of geology shows there were many more creatures in the ocean and on land at the time before the global flood. It is a wonder there is any life left on Earth when you consider the devastation on Earth. The only reason there are land animals living on Earth today is because they were saved from this devastation. There are many accounts of 8 people and animals that were saved from the destruction of the Earth by the global flood. It's our history and our legacy. The Egyptians, Sumerians, and European quote-unquote blackheads are our ancestors. Of course, the Europeans are mixed with the Sumerians, and the Mediterraneans are mixed with the Egyptian to varying degrees. Geologists like to talk about a number of extinction events. I would suggest the evidence is that all of the extinctions were due to the global flood that buried everything in the sediments of up to 2 miles deep. What you see is exactly what happened in geology. There are vast deposits of shelled animals that make up the limestone layers. There are vast deposits of plants and animals making up the coal beds. There are many mass graves of animals of all different kinds together. There is evidence of millions of cubic of miles of displaced sediments and boulders. Entire ecosystems were buried one on top of the other like pancakes spread out for hundreds of miles. Ongoing excavations in the Gobi Desert is an embarrassment to evolution or evolutionists. Theropod dinosaurs have been discovered along with 200 skulls of mammals. And there is no evidence of any gap of millions of years that is claimed by the evolutionists, nor of the iridium layer that is thought to show when dinosaurs became extinct. There's Ashley Beds of South Carolina. It's a huge graveyard that contains the remains of man with land and sea animals consisting of dinosaurs, plesiosaurs, whales, sharks, rhinos, horses, mastodons, mammoths, porpoises, elephants, deer, pigs, dogs, and sheep. So the point being that they're all buried together. The Karoo formations in South Africa alone contain fossil remains of about 800 billion animals. This is a problem for evolutionists. It's not a problem for creationists. Besides the Ashley Beds of South Carolina and South Africa and the Gobi Desert, there's also the fossil graveyards in New Mexico, Alberta, Canada, and Nebraska. We should be glad to be alive. That's basically all that is. Let me just show some pictures here. There's no evidence, several million years of evolution with no gaps or iridium layer. Sedimentary rock amounts to about 130 million cubic miles. That's my estimate. Water is 332 million cubic miles. That's the amount of water on Earth. course, you got the Ashley beds, dinosaurs, plesiosaurs, man, everything mixed together. That's a real problem for evolutionists. It's not our problem. 800 billion mammals in the coral formation. That's a lot. You got the fossil graveyards are not our problem. It's the problem of evolutionists. Trilobites and fish in the Cambrian, shellfish along with bacteria in the Precambrian, placental mammals in under the iridium layer with dinosaurs, ferdy critters before dinosaurs. That would be the, what do you call it? Birds before dinosaurs. This is a chart that I just pulled off the web, and everybody had a big problem with. I mean, not everybody, but some people had a big problem with it. It shows birds before the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs are in the green, and the birds are before the dinosaurs. I don't know what chart this is. I don't know who said it. Anyways, it's not a problem for us. I mean, they're all buried in the same layers, anyways. So it's not our problem. Well, but it's funny how a big problem, and it's just not for us, it's not a problem. It could be buried anywhere. So, you can have the birds in any of the layers. It wouldn't matter to me. So what else we're going to find? That's about it. So I guess that's good enough.
All right. Well, since he wasn't going to give a rebuttal, you only went 5 minutes. So we'll just jump right into the discussion portion. I just wanted to let the audience know again, send in your questions to Modern Day Debate so we can see it. Make sure that you ask or state who the question is for. That really helps us out. And Jungle, if you have any citations for these things that you're mentioning as well, like in a Google document form or whatever it may be, if you have a link, could you post it into live chat or here in this side chat so I can do it as well? And I can give it to the people that are asking, like Reese was asking for a couple of the slides that you made.
Oh, for the links, that would probably be a creationist website. Let me see if I can find it. Or I got the thing on the fossil graveyards. It says it's genesispark.com. I mean, it's not a problem for us. Like I was saying, it's not our problem. We have all this stuff buried together. Let me see what link I can post it outside, right?
Yeah, you can post it in the live chat for the people right now so they can follow along.
Okay.
But wanted to give Frustrated Atheist a chance to go first since you just listened to his opening presentation. You can, while you jump into the discussion portion, you go first. And
okay. Are we just jumping in now?
I believe so, yeah. Are you ready, Jungle?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, I noticed that you brought up a lot of stuff that you did bring up during your debate with Nakaguchi, which is a lot of things I have problems with. First thing is I'm going to need citation for the shellfish in the Precambrian era. Do you have any kind of citation for that?
Yeah, they were the that was the fossil bed that I was showing. Okay, let's see the fossil. Let me see if I can do that. Why?
Well, I don't know. I don't want the picture. I said I want the citation. Like, where did it come from? Like, where did you find this information from?
Yeah, like I said, it was the picture. It was the picture. It was a chart that I pulled off the internet.
Okay, so that alone is problematic. That you don't know where the source itself came from, and B, that you just said that I just pulled it off the internet.
Well,
you can find just about anything on the internet that is completely and utterly false. And as far as I know, because one of the things that you like to tell people to Google it, I did Google it. I used like 3 different search versions of phrases that had to do with shellfish and Precambrian. And I did it with Precambrian rock, Precambrian era, everything. And I have yet to find anything whatsoever on shellfish in the Precambrian. So I'm going to have to say that unless you can actually provide actual citation of where it came from, you're going to have to stop using that because
But
it's bogus.
right, you seem to be missing the point. The point I'm making is it doesn't matter where these things are found in which layer, is that because they were all deposited by the global flood. And
The thing is, if you're going to say that this is shellfish in the Precambrian, that is a claim that you have to cite your sources on. You can't just sit there and say, oh, well, it doesn't really make any difference to us because of the whatever reason. You have to, if you're going to make a claim, you have to be able to back that claim up. I can't just sit there and say Alexander the Great lived 3 years ago without having some kind of citation for that.
Right, but it's not a big deal for us.
It doesn't matter if it's not a big deal for you. If you make a claim, you have to cite your sources on that claim. You have to be able to back it up.
There's no,
if you can't back it up, then there's no reason to be claiming.
Right. There's no reason to get bent out of shape because it could be in any layer. It doesn't matter to me.
Again, it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter to you. You specifically said this is shellfish and Precambrian.
But why are you bent out of shape? They're all in the same sediment layers that were deposited one right after the other.
Precambrian is not the same layer. You have a whole different time scale right here. Because the thing is we have smaller, the less complex the creature is, the further down it gets. So we have, in the Precambrian rock, we have all sorts of different types of algae, but we don't ever see shellfish. And
it probably just fell. It probably just fell in the crack or something. Anyways, that's
Okay,
I don't think it evolved there myself. It probably just was found there.
Okay, so do you know what that's called whenever that happens?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, what happens is whenever you have rock that splits apart and sediment gets filled in there, it then makes a whole new different. It makes a cut in the original rock. That little piece that is been filled in is a whole different age. That
you mean like an unconformity? You mean like an unconformity?
Yes, the word escaped me. Thank you. But yes, an unconformity where you have the split, it gets filled in with sediment, and then it sits there and hardens up and becomes a whole new thing. But that new unconformity is
it could have been just a crack for that matter. It could have been a crack and not any significant erosion.
Well, again, it doesn't matter. The fact that sediment falls into it, that entire sediment layer that fell into it has its own age. That doesn't mean that the fossil itself was found in Precambrian rock.
Right. Well, the Precambrian is the basement rock, if anybody's wondering. It's just the basement rock. That's all it is.
Yes. And so, but to say that this is a fossil that was found in Precambrian rock is disingenuous because it wasn't found in it. It was found in Cambrian rock, which is where we find
it doesn't matter, though. It doesn't matter where it's found because everything was deposited by the global flood. Everything was.
It's nice that you assert that, but the thing is whenever it comes to this stuff, you have to actually be able to show what you're talking about. And so whenever you say that a fossil is found in Precambrian rock that wasn't from Precambrian rock, it was from Cambrian rock, then that's being disingenuous.
So
which means that your entire argument is hinged on a disingenuous statement.
So do you know what the layers are? How much sediment layers there are?
How many sediment layers there are?
The sediment layers. What's the volume of the sediment layers?
I don't see the relevance in that. I've heard you said that during the other debate, and there is really no relevance in.
Well, can I explain I'll explain the relevance. The relevance is that you had 4 billion years with zero erosion, and then all of a sudden you have huge amounts of sediment, consecutive sediment layers that are all deposited by water.
That's another assertion that creationists like to use.
No,
there's no erosion.
No, it's an observation. It's an observation.
No, the observation is whenever you actually have a geologist looking at those layered rocks, they will tell you, yes, there is erosion there. And this is how you can tell it's erosion. I myself am not a geologist, obviously, but you can talk to a geologist. As a matter of fact, I can point you to one. Stephen Bauman is a geologist, and he could tell you if you show him the rock layers, and ask him where the erosion marks are. He'll tell you it's there, 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 and there.
Okay, but you ignore the fact that I put forth that there was 4 billion years with zero sediment layer deposition.
No,
you don't see that as a problem. You don't see that as a problem.
Wait, Matt, what was that?
Sorry, the audience. What happened is Frustrated Atheist is using his cell phone. It's not a microphone problem. He's on a cell. That's why he's cracking up. Just letting you guys know.
Yeah, it's probably the headphones that I'm using. It'll have to wait till I get to the house. I can probably plug it into my tablet and just get off the phone and get on the tablet with a better connection.
I was just letting them know they were saying a super chat to buy you a new mic.
No, he's bending over backwards to do the debate, the discussion or whatever.
Yeah. All right, good. Sounds good. I just want to let the audience know. Go ahead. Okay, keep going.
Who's bending over backwards?
You.
No, I'm not. The thing is that what I'm saying is evidently true.
No, that's not what I was talking about. You're going out of your way to do the discussion.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah. But anyway, so I always hear, I've heard you talk about the volumes, and I'm sorry, but it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter what you think should be there, because
it's irrelevant. The sediment layers.
The
sediment layers that buried everything are irrelevant.
No, the volume that you keep speaking about is irrelevant, because all this missing sediment layers that you keep speaking about, geologists actually know where they are.
But it's relevant to the size of the Earth, though. If it's a global flood, it covered the whole world. It covered the whole world. And if you understand, see, people don't even know how big the world is, much less how much water there is on Earth, or what the volume of sediments are on Earth.
Again, the thing is geologists who are trained in learning where erosion marks are, where all this sediment is, they know exactly how much time scale there is, and they can tell you this here indicates this many years. This here indicates this many years.
So how can there be millions of years between a sediment, one sediment, another sediment that has a straight line between them? No erosion. How can there be millions of years missing there?
Again, that goes back to the whole entire. You're talking about how, like, if you have horizontal layers and then you have one vertical layer. Yeah,
the flat horizontal layers, one on top of the other. How can there be millions of years missing between the layers?
There isn't.
No, it's an evolutionary claim. It's an evolutionary claim that there's millions of years missing between the layers.
No, this is a creationist claim that an evolutionist claim is. Okay, then tell me what. For starters, tell me what exactly does evolution have to do with geology?
That's a good question, because everything that was supposedly evolved is buried by the global flood.
That did not answer my question. That's a non-answer. I asked you a specific question.
I answered you specifically.
No, you didn't. That is a non-answer, saying that everything was done by the global flood. Saying everything was done by a global flood is a non-answer to the answer to the question, what does evolution have to do with geology?
Right, because you believe that each sediment layer represents a different time scale in geology. That different
No,
animals
geologists say
existed at different times. That's what it has to do with evolution, because you're using the different layers to try to prove the different times of and you're trying to prove evolution by geology, which was a single global flood that buried everything in within a matter of days.
that's again a nice assertion, but you have to back up it with evidence. And I'm
No, it's
sorry,
historical.
but that's on your side.
It's historical evidence, and geology is the observable result of the global flood.
No, this is an assertion, and the thing is you have to have backed this up with evidence. And you can ask just about any geologist, regardless. There are Christian geologists where the global flood would be something that they actually want to prove, and they still say the global flood did not happen. There are historical geologists that sit there and have said that who teach classes that say, if you believe in the biblical flood today, by the end of the week, you won't. This
Yeah, well, the people in history,
geology.
the historical people that believed in the millions of years, they didn't have the evidence that we have today. In fact, we don't have the evidence that we have today. We don't even know the amount of the sediment layers that are covering the world, that are on the land.
We know how to test the substance.
Because I just asked you and you didn't know. Even though I put a slide up saying what the volume of the sediments are, you still didn't know what the volume is. No, it's not irrelevant.
Yes,
It's everything that was buried by the global flood 4,400 years ago was in those layers. Because it scraped to the bottom basement, it scraped the basement rock clean, almost clean, except for a couple of layers here and there. You can see them in the Grand Canyon from before the global flood, but it scraped it. It's called the Great Unconformity. From the Great Unconformity on, you have the deposition of the flood sediment layers with huge boulders in them, with examples of things that were living at the time before the global flood. And they're consecutive layers all the way up, over 2 miles deep, over 2 miles high,
Again, do you have citation for any of this?
No, it's observations. Just go to the Grand Canyon.
So in other words, I have no citation, which means that I'm just making things up.
Well, they're making things up too. They're just putting, making up dates and putting them on it and saying this is this date. When they're consecutive water deposited date sediments, and they're putting millions of years between the layers, saying millions of years.
The rock. They can actually test the rock.
So they're what they say is useless anyway. It's worthless because they're claiming millions of years between consecutive layers of water deposited sediments that were deposited within days of each other, because there's no erosion. Do you know what 50 million years would do? Do you know what 50 millions of erosion would do? 50 million.
Do you understand what
it would erode all of the sediments into the ocean?
No, it wouldn't.
So you don't even know what 50 million years is, and they don't even apparently they don't know either. So what they say is useless to me.
You do realize that what you
and you can get a geologist. You can get a geologist. You can get a geologist and have them come talk to me and explain the hundreds of millions of missing years between consecutive layers of water deposited sediments.
Again, this is not something that is real. This is something that creationists claim is real when it's not. There's no missing layers. You can have a geologist come in. No, it is your claim.
Because it is your claim that there's hundreds of millions, hundreds of millions of years between layers.
It is not my claim at all. I'm not claiming anything. I'm saying that you saying that there are missing layers is false.
We're not claiming hundreds of millions of years missing between the layers. You guys are.
You just were just a few seconds ago.
No, that's not
no,
our claim.
no
What we're
geologist I've ever
saying,
heard.
what we're saying
No.
is they were deposited within days of each other. We don't claim
No
hundreds of millions of years
geologist-
between the layers.
No, you claim that geologists claim when they don't. Geologists know exactly where the layers
No,
are. They
it's
know
not my claim. It's your
how many
claim.
layers.
You have to
You're claiming,
put hundreds of millions of years to make your time fit.
No.
Otherwise, there's not enough time for your magic of evolutionism to happen.
You are literally claiming that this is what geologists are claiming.
Well, you don't even know what they claim then. You don't know what their claim is.
No, you're sitting there saying that geologists claim that there's hundreds of millions of missing layers. Whenever I'm saying no,
Hundreds of millions of years between layers, not.
You said just a little bit ago that there's 100 million years of missing layers.
Between, it's not my claim, it's your claim. It's your geologist's claim. We say they were deposited within days of each other.
And the thing is like I said before, we can test the rocks and we can tell how old they are.
Right.
There are several different ways of testing.
And one water deposited sediment is a different age than the layer on top of it. That's water deposited.
What?
So you get different ages from one layer to another. You get different ages, even though they're consecutive layers of water deposited sediments.
Where are you getting? Look. So, do you know how these layers form?
I don't even think you know what the geologists claim.
No, you're over here standing there saying that they claim things. But what I'm saying is, do you know?
That's what I'm arguing against. I'm arguing against what their claim is.
No, you're arguing what you think the claim is. Now, again, do you know how rock layers are made?
Yeah, I know how they're made. They're deposited by water from the global flood. All the sediments became liquefied and they were pushed around.
Hold on.
They were shifted around like batter and pancakes.
Like I said, listen. What is it that you think that how do you think geologists would answer how rock layers are made?
Well, they think hundreds of millions of years deposited the layers when 50 million years would have washed them all into the ocean.
Okay, we're just focusing on one rock layer right now. How do you think, what is your belief that the geologists say about one rock layer? How one rock layer is made?
They believe that hundreds of millions of years passed of sediment deposition from erosion from the mountains, and the only thing, there's no mountain that has over 100 million cubic miles.
No, that is not at all what they claim. That's not at all what they say.
Yeah, one layer on top of the other, and then heat and pressure or whatever made the rock layers over millions of years. That's what they believe.
No, the way rock layers are formed is like you do have the layers of sediment. That part you're correct with. But over time, when the water recedes, it dries up. It gets harder. And then once it becomes that one rock layer, then something else happens where more sediment gets built on top of it. Then we have another drought moment where that hardens and becomes rock. Then you have another time frame where you have water throwing more layers of sediment on top of the already layers of sediment that have been hardened.
That's different than what I said? What you're saying is different from what I said, what I just said?
Yes, because what you were saying is that all of these layers are like bam, 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 bam. That's not what happened.
No, I said over hundreds of millions of years of sediment deposition.
But I asked you about one rock layer. One rock layer. I didn't ask you about...
Well, they believe it took a long time for one rock layer.
Which I'm more than willing to grant you that, yes, it takes quite a while to make one single rock layer, but not billions of years. No one has ever said that it takes billions of years to create one rock layer.
No, not billions, it's just millions, hundreds of millions.
Millions of years.
They claim hundreds of millions of years. And consecutive layers of water deposited sediment. They think that there's millions of years between
and we can actually
deposition.
And we actually can see this. You know how we see this?
Well, they say that they were deposited in like ocean bed or lake beds or ocean beds or whatever, and then they were pushed up. That's
Yes,
what they
because
say.
there are. You do know that we have dry lake beds, right? All around the world, there are dry lake beds, and you can actually dig into them and see them.
But it's not comparable to what I'm talking about. I'm talking about all of geology all around the world is consecutive layers of water deposited sediments. Everywhere you go around the world, they're horizontal layers stacked one on top of the other, like pancakes poured out like batter.
That's how rock layers form.
In the global flood.
No.
Within days of each
other. I just told you that with dry lake beds, you can see it because there's actually moments where you can see where it was wet, dry, wet, dry. You can see this in dry lake beds.
But you're not talking about that. You're talking about like a local flood is the same thing. You talk about local flood disproves the global flood. No, it doesn't. It's just local floods happen on top.
I'm saying,
and what you're describing is what happens on top of the geology.
What I'm saying is that this is what we see in dry lake beds. That's what I'm saying. That's all I've said. I've not extrapolating and putting more things on top of it. I'm saying that
has nothing to do with the global sediment layers.
Because it doesn't have. Because you're right. It has nothing to do with the global flood because this
has nothing to do with sediment layers that are intercontinental. It has nothing to do with sediment layers that are intercontinental.
Explain what you mean by that.
The sediment layers go from one continent to the other. They're found all over the world. The basement to Pete's sandstone, that same sandstone on top of the rock basement layer is found all over the world.
That I can already tell you is not correct because I've heard geologists say that there are several different types of sandstone. And the sandstone that's over in one section is not the same sandstone that is over in another section of the world.
So you think that
what geologists say. This is not.
But you agree that there's a basement. You agree that there's a basement igneous rock foundation underneath, right?
Sure.
Okay, and there's sandstone on top. There's sandstone on top of that basement rock.
Sure,
which is not sedimentary. Normally, it's not sedimentary in most cases.
Sure, but again, the geologists, the people who actually know what they're talking about, and not lay people like us, sit there and will tell you that the sandstone that is in, say, Africa is not the same as the sandstone over in, say, North America.
Well, it's different sand, but it's sandstone on top of the basement rock. I agree with that.
Yeah, so this is different sandstone in different areas. So this is.
But it has the same characteristics of boulders and everything else.
Sure, why not?
Well, it's indicative of a global catastrophe. So considering that you have consecutive layers on top of that,
hold on,
up to 2 miles deep.
No, hold on. I've got a question for you. So all these layers happen because of global flood. So at one point in time, the entire Earth was just igneous rock went before the, like literally right before the global flood. It was all igneous rock.
No, there was sediment layers, but they were all scraped up and they were all redeposited like batter and pancakes.
What?
All of the sediment layers were, you can see in the Grand Canyon where they were scraped off. It's called the Great Unconformity, where you have the pre-flood sediment layers and the igneous basement rock together, and you can see the Great Unconformity was scraped, and then this piece of sandstone was deposited on top of them horizontally.
Yeah, I don't think that what you're seeing, what you think you're seeing, is what you're actually seeing. So that I'm going to have to say, because I'm not a geologist, that you should talk to a geologist about that. And as I pointed out, There's Stephen Ballman. He is a geologist, and he could probably tell you exactly what you're saying. So that we're just going to have to get off of that subject because, like I said, I'm not going to talk about something that
so it's
I don't have enough expertise.
Okay, so it's one layer of water deposited sediment on top of the other.
Again, I just
up to
told
2
you,
miles deep.
Again, I just told you, we're not going to be talking about something that I don't know anything about, because it's dishonest if I try to answer questions or talk about something that
what about
know.
What about the fossil graveyards then? How do you explain the fossil
That
graveyards?
again, I'm going to need to see a citation, because I have never, ever, in any fossil finds, have ever heard humans with all these other random creatures that are scattered all throughout the
That
actual
would be
time of
the
the
Ashley beds of South Carolina.
Earth. Again, I said I'm going to need to see the citation for that, and not just.
Well, it's obviously it's disputed because they can't have humans with dinosaurs, so they're going to dispute
right?
it. They're going to say it was washed away, and but it's not a problem for us, but it's a problem for you, for your belief.
No, the thing is you sit there and say that they're going to dispute it because pretty much conspiracy, which is what all young.
You're claiming it's a conspiracy. You can claim that the flood is a conspiracy.
You are the one. No, you are the one saying that. Oh, no one's going to sit there and tell you that all these.
Because we have a history. We have historical documentation of the global flood, and you're claiming it's a conspiracy.
No.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that no, you cannot put words into my mouth.
Yes, you're claiming that history. You're claiming that history and calendars and genealogies are a conspiracy.
You can sit there and try to put words into my mouth.
You're claiming it's all a conspiracy.
What I said is that you are claiming that all these experts and whatnot are covering up something that would disprove the very thing that they always try to disprove.
The history of the global flood was here first. So you're the ones that are conspiracy theorists.
You're the one. No, you are the conspiracy theorist, because
the historical record was here first. The historical record was here first. The genealogies were here first. Calendars were here first. Calendars, all of history was here first.
You are going off of what you're doing.
And you are a bunch of scientists trying to
are having a conclusion
claim that there was a conspiracy.
You are having a conclusion that you are then saying that this is what the evidence shows. What we are saying is that we're not starting with a conclusion. We are starting with, we want to know how the world around us works. We want to know how everything's going. And so we are going to look for all these different evidence that says, hey, this is here because of this reason, not because I have this preset conclusion that I want to fit.
Right.
That's exactly what you have. You have a preset conclusion that you are sitting there and determined to say is indeed fact, even though you have not proven it is a fact. You assert it's a fact, and then want to say.
Can you finish it up a little bit? You're just repeating yourself. You're just repeating yourself.
Want to sit there and speak over me, so I will sit there and say whatever the hell I want to say.
So I'm waiting for you to finish. Finish up.
No, sitting there and talking whenever I'm talking is not waiting for me to finish. Sitting there talking while I'm talking. Sitting there you go again. Sitting there talking while I'm talking is not waiting for me to finish. So again, you are claiming that there is a conspiracy to cover up all of this evidence of the flood whenever there is none. You say, oh, all this stuff is here. And I said, okay, where is the evidence that that's what's over at the actual lake bed? Oh, well, you're not going to find it because they're all trying to cover it up. That is literally a conspiracy theory. You are no better than a flat earther.
Okay, you're starting. Come on, let me say something. You're starting with the belief that the premise that the Bible, the historical record in the Bible is false. That's your starting point. You're starting with the belief that you don't believe any of history or geologies or calendars or all of history. You're this conspiracy theorist.
That is not my starting point at all.
Yes, it is.
My starting point is I want to know no, my starting point is I want to know how the world around me works.
No,
That
you
is my
want to
starting
know. You want to know that the Bible's not true. That's what you want to know.
No, assuming. Oh, so now you're assuming what is my.
Yeah, you want to know that
Whenever I just
all
told
it's all
you
false. You
what
want
my
to know
starting
that it's
point
all
is.
false. The whole historical
No.
record is false.
No, I want to know what is true, and the way I find that out is by looking at the world around me and finding out what is true. I want to sit there and
Okay.
know how the world around me works.
So, did you go to school? Did you study history? Did you study, genealogies or human history or historical records?
I look at experts and I sit there and hear what they have to say. I then
So
sit
you
there
believe
and
whatever
hear it.
somebody tells you. Okay.
No, that's not what at all I said.
That's what you just
I
said.
said that I
That's
listen
exactly
to
what you
experts.
just said. You believe whatever
No, that
somebody
is
tells you.
not. I said
And
that I
because it
listen
falls
to
in line with
experts.
what you want to hear. You just want to hear this.
Oh my
what they
God,
say.
stop assuming shit. I just said that what I said was that I listen to the experts who know more than I do, which is what you do. You try to listen to experts to figure out something you don't know.
Right, but we
And
have to be smart about it.
yes, so what I do is then I go and look out for things that go against it to try to see which one is closer. If I sit there and at any point in time, one side sits there and says something like, you won't find this over in the X because somebody is trying to make sure you don't see it. You can automatically kind of figure out that these people are not being honest. So
Okay,
if
can you give an
the
example? Can you give an example?
example is what you said. I sat there and said that where's the evidence that shows that in the actually bed that humans and all these other things were together?
Well, you can Google it. You can Google it. I Googled
No,
it.
what you told me right after that was right after I asked you that was you won't find the evidence because they're trying to make sure that you don't.
No, they're trying to dispute what's there. It's not a problem for us. It's a problem for you.
You sit there and said that you won't find the evidence because they don't want you to have.
It's just like the Laetoli footprints. They're trying to dispute that it was humans that made it.
The what footprints?
The Laetoli footprints. They're trying to dispute that it was humans that made the footprints.
Are you talking about the footprints that are in Glen Rose, Texas?
No. The Laetoli footprints in Africa.
Oh, I haven't seen that, and so
they're bipedal. They're bipedal footprints, probably made from humans that are bipedal, but they were trying to say that the chimps were bipedal and made them.
20 minutes left.
Really? Okay. Well, I have some other issues with some of the stuff you said. So
I have a lot of issues.
We spend I know you have a lot of issues. But we spent quite a bit of time on
with
that,
what
so,
you say.
But so I have some issues. Like for instance, where's the evidence that birds were before dinosaurs besides your little chart? You had that little chart about.
No, it's just the chart. I got it from the chart, but it doesn't bother me where they are. They could be anywhere. It wouldn't make any difference.
That's the thing is that, again, when you claim something.
I didn't make the chart. You got to go talk to the person, whoever made the chart.
Okay. Well, if you don't know who made the chart, then again, that's problematic.
Yell at Google for publishing, allowing it to be published or something. I don't know.
Again, though, if you don't know who made it, that's problematic. That already should be a red flag to you, saying, "Oh,
it doesn't matter." I was just pulling up charts, and I was just comparing them. Some of them say one thing, some of them say another thing, but
and this keeps showing that this is dishonesty because just saying, "Oh, I don't know," I just was pulling out charts.
You don't know either. You don't know where they found either.
Oh no, but the thing is I do know where birds.
For all you know, there could be birds before dinosaurs. You wouldn't even know because you haven't seen all the evidence. Because nobody's seen all the. Nobody's dug up all the evidence. It's all underneath this still to this day.
I've seen the evidence that we do have, and there has never been birds found before dinosaurs. There have been birds found in the Cretaceous.
But you agree that birds
with
existed.
dinosaurs.
You agree that birds existed the same time as dinosaurs, right?
Yes, because
Okay.
that's a known fact.
Okay.
Because we have birds that were existing with dinosaurs. We had several different different species of birds with dinosaurs. That
Right.
is never been anything that was controversial. I don't know where you thought it was, because the thing is the birds,
Well,
the bird lineages that we have today came
it makes
from
it-
one of the a bunch of the flightless birds from the same time period as the dinosaurs.
yeah,
They
but
were
they're all buried by the same global flood in consecutive layers of water deposited.
no,
sediments.
because these birds that were survived the lineages were flightless birds that it's not exactly sure.
all
how?
the birds were buried by the same global flood.
No,
The dinosaurs too.
Again, there were birds that survived the extinction period at the Cretaceous.
You got mass fossil graveyards with humans and dinosaurs and sheep and
Again,
pigs and dogs.
Until you show me the evidence of that, you're gonna have to give that up, man. Because
Ashley
you are
Beds of
sitting there
South Carolina.
And again,
Ashley.
saying Ashley Beds of South Carolina says nothing. I said provide the evidence.
It says nothing.
Provide
All
the
you have to do is
You're making
Google
a
it. It's no
claim.
big deal.
Yeah, but the thing is if you make a claim, you have to back it up.
I did.
No, you didn't. You're just
It's
saying
not a
Ashley
problem for
Beds
us.
of South Carolina
It's
is
not our problem. It's not
claim.
our problem. It's your problem. You have to
No,
explain it.
making claims is your problem. If you make a claim, you have to back it up. That is just simple logic here. No, you didn't. Ashley Beds of South Carolina is not backing up your claim. You have to provide the evidence. You have to sit there and say, oh, well, here's the citation for that. And this is where you can find it. And this is where you would find other bits. And this is where you find.
Well, do you honestly believe that your secular biologists would agree to find that men are with dinosaurs, that there's bones of people with dinosaurs?
Yes,
you think that they would agree?
I absolutely, without a doubt, believe that if that was a find that actually happened, that every
it bears evolution, though. It bears evolution.
They don't care. You see, scientists, what they care about is being the next person to prove things wrong. They want to be able to prove things wrong. So if they sit there and found something that were to prove evolution wrong, oh my God, that man would get grants. That man would get everything for his study, for his research, so that way he can sit there and show things. He may
then why are creationists kicked out of institutions for coming up with evidence of not very much time? Like
like who?
Why are they kicked out of institutions like Mark Armitage and people like that?
Who's that? What? Like I need to know the story. I need to know everything about it, not just what the creationists say about it.
He found soft dinosaur tissue in a triceratops.
Yeah, no, that's not at all what happened. As a matter of fact, the one lady who found what creationists keep calling soft tissue actually has sat there and said,
So you don't even know what the facts are.
No, the facts are this woman who had found soft tissue, or what creationists call soft tissue.
And you think she's the only? You think she's the only one? You think she's the only one that found soft dinosaur tissue, right?
She may not be the only one, but the thing is what she found will be exactly what the others found, and what the others found would be what she found, which is not what
she's not claiming. She's claiming that she found protein or something, or some kind of cartilage or something, but the other ones are finding blood vessels and Philippodia, bone cells, Philippodia.
That's what people keep saying was what she found. And she said, no, that's not at all what is being found.
Well,
And this is
she
what it
doesn't
is.
determine what other people find. She
If
can't
it's the
determine what
exact
other
same
people find.
thing, if it's the exact same thing that she finds, then she knows what they found.
It's not the exact same thing. They're making different findings. She makes one finding, other people make another finding.
Okay, so you have the citation to back what they found, like not from a creationist
You
website,
can look
but
it up.
just
You
the
can
regular
look it
one.
up after. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So again,
His
you don't
name's
have.
Mark Armitage. He's
You don't
got
have.
videos. He's got videos all over the place of bone cells, blood cells,
Got
veins,
it. Got it.
Philippodia,
So again,
soft
you don't
dinosaur
have.
tissue
Again,
without
you don't
even
have.
treating it.
Again, you don't have the citation. Got it. This is the issue: is that
I don't have a citation. Well, he's got a citation. He published work and stuff. That's probably half the reason why he was kicked out of the school, because he published something.
No. The thing is, again, whenever people find something that actually goes against the status quo, they get rewarded for that shit.
You must live. You're not living in the same world I'm living. I don't think you're living in a fantasy world, because that's not what really what actually happens.
Yeah, I know. I'm about to. I'm cleaning this up. There's the can so I can put them back on. No, that's not at all what's happening. I don't live in the fantasy world. You do, because this is how these people, the scientists and people who make these discoveries, get money and get recognition and get prizes for it.
Mark Arman's got a boot.
Yeah, well, again, I don't know what it is that he claims he found or what it is that he actually found. So until I look at that, I can't tell you.
He's not the only one. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people.
Again,
Ben Stein talked about people getting a boot because of it too.
Who?
Ben Stein. You don't know Ben Stein?
Oh, you're talking about the monotone guy, the clear eyes guy.
Yeah, the clear eyes guy.
Yeah. I've heard about his little movie he did, and from what I've heard, I'm not impressed.
Well, no, he mentioned that people were getting kicked out of the institutions because of their work that they were doing.
Yeah. Again, the thing is it all depends on what one person says.
I mean, I'm talking. This is reality. This is reality.
Yes.
This is what the world is.
And the thing is creationists tend to say these things a lot. As a matter of fact, I saw one video where people said, "Oh, he was kicked out for finding these things," and what actually happened was he was kicked out for misrepresenting what was found.
You can twist it any way you want. You can. You can make up stories and twist it. That's what you always do.
Okay, so in other words, whenever they actually explain what it is that he was kicked out for and how it was that he misrepresented the finds, it's all just made up nonsense. But whenever
it's not misrepresented it's not misrepresented the science. There's actual bone cells, and they have Philippodia and blood cells and veins. And
without seeing these so-called finds, I can't say anything.
You can pull up the YouTube video. His name's Mark Armitage.
Yes,
Mark Armitage. Pull up his videos.
Let me pull it up right now while we're in the middle of a discussion. Let me pull it up while I'm in the middle of a discussion.
10 minutes.
See, that's what I'm saying. Right now, I can't pull that up. And so until then, we can't talk about it.
If you wanted to change subjects, if you wanted to change subjects too, you got 10 minutes. So that would be good.
Okay. So, this whole entire idea that birds were is some kind of thing on geology or evolution or whatever you want to say. Birds being with dinosaurs. Yeah, no, that's always been a known.
Yeah, but
that's never been a controversial.
If you wait long enough, you just might find birds before dinosaurs. You never know.
Yeah, well, we've had plenty of years to find it, and we've been digging in rock layers before that.
We didn't even start finding stuff until the Chinese started digging up in the Gobi Desert, and then they started finding real evidence and presenting it, because our geologists denied evidence.
Yeah, you're geologist. Like, wait, as in creationist geologist or as in the United States?
The secular geologists, they're snowing you. They're you know they're giving you a whole big misrepresentation of the facts.
No, because again, like I said, this has never been a controversial topic that you think for some reason is
Because
one of the many nails in the coffin for us. But
because they don't want the Bible to be true. They don't want the Bible to be true of the global flood.
That has nothing to do with the findings of birds with dinosaurs. That has nothing, literally nothing. That
has everything to do because they were all buried within days of each other. They were all buried within days of each other by the same global flood.
That literally has dick all to do with birds being dinosaurs. You want to say this as if it's a nail in the coffin, but it's not, because even geologists,
geology does bury.
This is not. Even the secular geologists would sit there and say, yeah, this is not controversial. We know that birds existed with dinosaurs.
Yeah, geology does bury evolution. That's a fact.
No,
because they were all buried by the same sediment, same layers of sediment by the same global flood within days of each other. You keep
asserting this, but the thing is we tested the rock's ages, and we know how old rocks are.
Well, so your dating method, there must be a fault with your
fossils are.
Because this is I'm talking about known history, so your dating method is off.
No, the thing is you are obviously off, because the whole entire thing is that these dating methods have been actually extremely accurate.
You can't disprove.
You test it with something that is of known age, and then you test it,
and we know
the age. That these dates are accurate.
Right, and we know the age of the flood was 4,400 years ago. Everything was buried within days of each other.
There's nothing that shows that in geology. There's nothing.
If you're getting different dates, you're getting different ages, you're getting false readings.
So, no, this is you having a conclusion and saying that anything that goes against your conclusion
because it's known history.
That's not true. No, the thing is, it's not known history.
It's consecutive layers of water deposited sediments on top of each other within days of each other, like pancakes being poured out.
No, again, you keep asserting this, you keep assuming this, but it's not actual fact.
I'm observing it.
Oh, okay. So that's saying that you were there 4,000 years ago when this global flood supposedly happened.
I'm observing the sediment layers that were poured out like pancake batter all around the world. That's what I'm observing.
And I'm telling you that you can test those layers and figure out the date of those layers.
Yeah, but there's no significant erosion between the layers, though. That means there was no significant time between the layers.
You can date the layers.
Your dates are coming up false. You're getting false readings.
No, you're assuming they're false because.
No, I know they're false because they're consecutive layers of water deposited sediments on top of each other.
Like pancakes, I got it.
Within days of each other.
Again, like pancakes, I got it. But the thing is these are assumptions. Whenever I said we have dating methods that we know are accurate because we test it on known ages and then test it on other things, and we figure out that, okay, this rock is this age, and this fossil is this age.
Yeah, we already know the funny dating methods are come up with wrong dates. We've known that for years.
Oh, really? Okay, so wait, how much?
5 minutes.
Okay, so these dating methods. Are you about to pull the whole entire Kent Hovind slide where he did the whole entire fossil stuff?
I just told you that they're all consecutive layers of water deposited sediments.
Yes, I got it. Like pancakes. I got it.
Yeah,
I got it. You have a
rapid succession. In rapid succession, within days of each other. Within days of each other. So
I got it.
Whatever dating you're getting is a false reading.
No, you were assuming it's a false reading, even though I just said that we test it on known ages of things.
Something's wrong. Something's wrong with your calculation.
Something is wrong with you.
History. It's known history.
No, it's not known history. this is not unknown history at all. And this is not even, so it's not known history, for starters. For two, I told you, we get accurate dating because we first test every single thing where we test on a known age. And then after we test the known age, we test it on things that we don't know. And we get accurate measurements that way.
I'm not convinced.
Okay, that's because you start with a conclusion and then try to work your way backwards from there.
No, I start with known historical events.
Except for this is
And I start with halfway decent observations that are consecutive layers of water deposited sediments on top of each other over a mile deep, 2 miles deep.
Got it. Pancakes. We got it. We've got this.
2 miles deep of pancakes. 2 miles deep.
Repeating my seat. You were talking about me repeating myself. We got it. Pancakes.
2 miles deep, and a mile was eroded off.
2 mile pancakes.
In many cases.
Got it. We got that part. You know, we got that several times actually. I'm pretty sure you said that about 20 times.
Everywhere around the world.
But the thing is what you wanting to assume it is not what it is.
No,
because
I'm not assuming anything. I'm looking at it.
Yes, because we can test the fossils. We can test the rock. And what your date is wrong.
No, your millions of years is wrong because 50 million years would have washed them all into the ocean.
Again, no, it wouldn't have, because I've already told you how that works.
At the current rate of erosion, 50 million years would wash all the sediment layers into the ocean.
Assuming that the rate of erosion...
rock layers to begin with. They're rock layers right now.
That is assuming from the very get-go that this level of erosion has always been the same level.
At today's rate of erosion.
Yes, at today's state of erosion. But that's not saying that that's what erosion was at one point in time.
Obviously, half the sediments were washed into the ocean and subducted under the continents because they're not there no more.
What?
Never mind.
Okay.
2 minutes. Just 2 minutes, guys.
2 minutes?
Yeah.
I'm getting nowhere with this because he keeps sitting there just assuming things and repeating his assumptions. So if he's fine with it, no, you are assuming things. But anyway, so if he's okay with it, I just yielded to the Q&A.
I got an idea then. Why don't you guys each take just a few minutes for closing? That way you can give the audience, what you guys think, how the discussion went, and then, also state if you have a current YouTube channel or a website that you want to promote, and then we'll jump into the Q&A. So,
okay.
Whoever would like to go first.
Okay. I guess I'll go first since I went first.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then he can have the last word.
Go ahead.
Where do I start? It is what you see. What you see is exactly what happened. And what we see, of course, aside from the fact that it's historical evidence, that all calendars go back less than 5,000 or 5,000 years, all historical records go back that far. Aside from all that it's actual known history, that there was a global flood with 8 people and animals that were saved on the ark, you have geology. Geology buries the flood. Geology buries the evolutionary timeline. You have the sediment layers. It's over 100 million cubic miles of water deposited sediment. What remains today? It was even more before it was washed off, by the runoff of the waters that were sinking down into the oceans. But it's over 100 million cubic miles of water deposited sediments everywhere around the world, with things that were living, examples of life that was living at the time. And we need to understand that it was a different world, that the world that was created was utterly destroyed, and we're living in a remnants of a world that was a really awesome creation. And with the sea life, with all the marine life and the shell creatures and everything, the Bible says the seas were filled with life. And then you have all the plant life and all the forests and the swamps where all the animals were, the dinosaurs and all them. It was just an amazing world, and that world is totally destroyed. People were living 100 years. Animals were gigantic. There were people that were giants too. It was a different world. It wasn't the same world. We're living in a world that was what's left of a destroyed world creation of God. And people are complaining like they have a bone to pick with God when they should be grateful that they are survivors and that they're descended from Noah's three sons, the Egyptians, the Sumerians, and the Asian people, which are also mixed to make the European people and the Mediterranean people. And we should be glad that we're still living, instead of accusing God and complaining about all the evil. If evil is such a problem, why are people evil? If you're evil, how can you complain that somebody else is evil? Anyways, the topic is geology, and I believe that geology buries the evolutionary timeline because everything that was living on Earth at the time is in those layers. So I guess I'll wrap it up.
All right. You went 4 minutes. So, frustrated atheist, there isn't exactly a time limit, but 4 minutes if you want to go around there. You're muted right now, just in case you're ready to start. Don't forget to unmute. And you can begin whenever.
Sorry about that. I didn't realize I was muted. So, first thing I'm going to say is John Jargon here has made a lot of assertions. And then whenever pressed on them, he fell back on things like, oh, I just Googled this slide image or whatever. When pressed on matters that I knew what I was talking about, he tended to actually back off. As far as shellfish in the Precambrian, that dinosaurs and birds exist together as if that were something that was controversial among geologists, and all these other little different things that he just seemed to have found was when pushed, I found lacking. There's just no substance to it. It's completely and utterly assertions, assumptions, and that's about it. And so I don't know why I was expecting something different, but I was. But such is life, I guess. And I think I'm just done with that.
Okay. All right. We will jump into the Q&A now for the 20 to 25 minutes. And we are going to first start with super chats. So looks like we're going to begin with Roy Lindsay, who stated jungle. This is for you. What type of monkey is God? You obviously don't have to answer, but it's in your balls.
Well, I'm going to try to answer as much as I can and what kind of monkey is God? I don't think he's a monkey, and I don't think he's a chimp or a troglodyte or a gorilla or anything like that. He is actually, he made us in his image. I'll just leave it at that, I guess.
All right. Next one, Hosea Hansen, a geology book, The Rocks Don't Lie by D. Montgomery. They were stating something either for the audience or one of you two. If you want to answer, if you've ever heard of it or read it, feel free.
I haven't read it, but I have heard it.
Got it. How about you, Jungle? Ever heard of that one? A geology book?
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with it, but I do know that they make claims. But I'm just saying that the flood sediments geology buries evolution.
All right. And another super chat again from Roy Lindsay. Thanks again. This one is vaccines cause evolutionism. And then there's a Bible verse. I didn't know that vaccines were mentioned in the Bible. So let me type that in. And we've got, be ready at any time to give a defense to anyone who asks you for reasons that they have hope.
The vaccine question, I don't think I want to respond to that.
As far as vaccines causing autism, or causing, did you say autism or atheism?
Evolutionism.
Oh, evolutionism.
Right.
Well,
neither one.
That's a lot. That's a lot to unpack. But yeah, I think I'm going to take. I think Jungle Jargon said it best, and I'm not even going to tackle that.
All right. All right.
That's something that me and Jungle agree on.
Got it. Question from James Downard for comment modern day. Urge Jungle Jargon to document that 50 million year erosion claim. He refused to so far.
50 million year. Well, they have different estimates. Some of the estimates are like 34 million years, and they go up as high as 100 million years. But it's not out. It's not something that's really controversial.
He came in with another one. It's a secondary part to that. He just said he demands that there's some kind of a document for your claim, or stop repeating the same mantras. So apparently he really wants evidence of what you're saying.
Well, I mean, I have what I've seen and what I've read and things like that. And if you don't have anything else, you don't have anything to say otherwise.
All right. God of Spaghetti, then. Question for you again, Jungle. If there is a Q&A, how do you... Oh, sorry, what? Oh, sorry, I thought I heard something else. My bad. Okay. Again, for you, Jungle Jargon, if there is a Q&A, how do you do your research and where can we read up on it? Like, where do you obtain most of your information from?
Well, I'm just a layperson, like the atheists.
Like me.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're all
like the frustrated atheist said, I'm just a layman, and I just basically get my information where I can and when I can. I don't have all the time. I work. I don't have all the time to study and research, so I can't spend a whole lot of time researching papers. So basically, I just go through whatever information I can get, and which lately is on YouTube video. I like science YouTube videos.
Okay, no problem. Was there any particular site that you like to use? If not, then we'll move on.
As far as science YouTube video, I like the ones on astronomy. There's I can't remember all the names right now, but there's Space Time with Stuart Gary. There's a Russian guy that does space videos. I mean, I like astronomy, physics, and stuff like that, and of course any science basically.
If you like space stuff, I would definitely recommend watching.
I guess what the math? Sorry, go on.
Sorry. Her name is Astro something. I can't. It's now drawing a blank. I had it in my head and then just went right out. But she's an astrophysicist.
Oh yeah, there's lots of people. As a matter of fact, there's lots of different people. The one I was thinking of was what the math is. A Russian guy does. He does a pretty good job. It's gives content almost on a daily basis or twice a day or something like that.
All right, next one from Sarah J. Again, for Jungle Jargon it is. What does the phrase object credit giver mean? and what is its origin?
The origin is the Bible. It means idolatry. Somebody who's an idolatrous person.
Oh, quick answer. Okay, good one. Mind Onion question for Jungle Jargon. How do you, what was that?
Oh, nothing. I just laughed.
Okay.
It's just because all of them are for jungle.
Yeah, insane. Next one, Jungle Jargon. Next one, Jungle Jargon. Next one. Praise, did you get any for Frustrated Atheist? I'll wait for him to speak up. But next, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, me.
Okay.
He said, "Yeah, me."
Well, let the chat know too. Come on, chat. Your questions, you got to even these out.
Here, you would read my question I gave him?
Yeah, let me scroll.
Sure, let's go ahead and give Jungle there a break.
All right, so here's my question. How does the uniformitarian escape post ad hoc reasoning?
Depends on what do you mean post hoc reasoning. What do you mean by that? Wait, I'd have to have an example of
like
what
extrapolation.
So
you have to rely on extrapolation to say that nothing has changed over, millions and billions of years. So that was my point.
Oh, how do I? Okay, so how does someone who holds to uniformitarianism get past things haven't changed in billions and billions of years?
Yeah, to me that'd be post hoc, ad hoc reasoning.
I don't know of anybody who says that things haven't changed. We are in constant state of change. It depends on. Again, it's hard to define whenever you put it that way because like I said, since everything's in a state of change, there's never been a moment where there hasn't been change, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
All right, back to Mind Onion's question then for you, Jungle Jargon. How do you know that Genesis Park is a reliable source of information? Do you think contents of Genesis Park should be added to the Bible?
I'm not sure what Genesis Park is. I might have used one of their references or sources or something, but basically, if it's teaching what the Bible says, it's reliable.
All right. Next one, The Heathen for Jungle Jargon. Are you even interested in an honest debate, or are you just here for attention? Much of what you are saying sounds willfully ignorant.
Well, honestly, the reason I'm here is for the sake of people who are very misinformed as to what the facts are of history, creation, science, geology, biology, everything. Everybody's really very misinformed as to what the evidence is showing. So I'm doing my attempt to try to explain things to people because I'm a lay person, but maybe I can explain things to lay people as well.
All right. Okay. We're going to jump into Kill a Doggy 1 for Frustrated Atheist. Have you ever had any non-secular or supernatural experience? If not, is there anything that made you doubt your atheism into some level of agnosticism?
Repeat the question one more time so that way I can make sure that I understood it correctly.
Sure. Have you ever had any non-secular or supernatural experience happen to you? If not, is there anything that made you doubt your atheism and at some level, or maybe to something that would make you agnostic?
So I don't know how many people know who would ask some questions know my past, but I wasn't always an atheist. I've had several what I would have thought were at one point in time some kind of weird phenomenon. I don't know if I would say it's supernatural. At the time, I might have, but I wouldn't. Like, for instance, whenever I was a very avid churchgoer, there's one point in time whenever I was reading my Bible, and I came across this one specific verse, and the very next day we went to church. On we were singing hymns and whatnot, and the one of the hymns that we were singing was the verse that I actually was reading and had highlighted and had my had a marker, had a like a bookmark on that specific page. And so at the time I was like, oh my goodness, look at this. Now I see it as more that it's just coincidence, because it wasn't anything that was, I guess you could say, godly. But as far as now, as an atheist, have I experienced anything? Not really. There's not really, like, it's going to sound really, really bad for me, but I'm a boring person. I work, I go home. Nothing really major ever happens to the point where it's like, oh my God, I can't explain this.
So the Holy Spirit never talked to you?
No,
Holy
no, nothing's ever talked to me, as far as I'm aware of.
The Holy Spirit talks to everybody, by the way.
That's a nice assertion, but no, as far as I'm aware, there was no Holy Spirit talking to me. I didn't have something telling me anything or anything like that. So there's that. If that answered any questions that he had.
Sure. I'll keep an eye on chat to see if you answered correctly. I'm sure it was good. He said there was 2 questions he had for you. I only have one in this chat section, so I'll scroll up and look for the other one.
I might have the other one, I think.
Yeah. Okay, good. Look for that one. And I will read Dave Langer's question. It was for Jungle Jargon. He said, do you have a citation for your sedimentary layer information? So maybe he's referring to when you talked about that base layer of sedimentary rock, the unconformity, or is he talking about the actually phosphate bed?
I think he's talking about the total amount of sediment layers. The sediment layers, my estimate is over 100 million cubic miles. And I was chatting with a person who seemed to me to be a geologist, a secular geologist, not on my side of the fence. And when I said 100, well, actually I said probably at that time I said 90 million cubic miles. And he said, no, it's 134 million. But that sounds reasonable to me because I was doing a conservative estimate. So I usually say like over 100 million cubic miles. And that's consecutive layers of water deposited sediments on land and of course the continental shelves too around the world.
All right.
Oh yeah, and another thing is, and if you don't have any other estimate, then you have to go with that estimate because I'm the only one apparently that made an estimate.
Or you can just not worry about estimates at all.
Well, it's there.
Okay.
It's evidence is there. It's
Just because something's there, though, it doesn't make it evident.
It's not a problem for the flood.
Okay, it's not a problem for secular geologist timeline either. I mean, I don't know what you want from that, but okay.
It is because it's consecutive layers of water deposited sediments over 2
Yes,
miles
got
deep.
it. Pancakes. Got it.
Up to 2 miles deep.
Yeah.
Here's one for you, Jungle Jargon. Would you consider then having a debate against Randy Marsh? He is a geologist from the Heathen.
Sure. I'm not as well versed in geology, but I could try to talk to him. Yeah, if he wanted to, no problem.
Okay, we will have that debate on Modern Day Debate then. Post that challenge, the Heathen. Call him out here. Say Jungle Jargon.
I mean, he's got to explain some stuff to us because we have questions,
Gotcha. Awesome. The crowd's gonna love this. All right, Dave Langer, question for Jungle Jargon. Actually, praise, you gave me there's no words there. So I'm going to skip that one.
Yeah, I don't know why they're getting cut off when I send it to the chat. It's really weird.
That is weird. Maybe a limited space. But here's the next one for you, frustrated atheist, from
Oh,
another one. My question was, have you ever heard about the idea of pattern recognition from David Hume, Hume? This is what started me on the path to agnosticism.
pattern recognition. We're talking about like pareidolia effect type of things, because humans themselves are pattern-seeking creatures. We seek patterns in everything. That's why we see things like, oh, that's a cat in the cloud, or something looks exactly like this thing that I absolutely know for a fact is a thing. You know, humans themselves are pattern-seeking creatures. So pattern recognition would just, I don't know. I guess it depends on what he means by it. It just to me sounds like natural human behavior.
Yeah, I think that Hume has his own theory. I just looked it up real quick. It says he invented something called the Hume's fork, and it's basically a theory of causation. So kind of like reap what you sow, probably cause and effect. So it made it sound like it meant something else, kind of like Fibonacci. That's what I was thinking of when he mentioned it. But
you're thinking about like the Fibonacci spiral.
Yeah, but it looks like it's something entirely different. I had not heard of it.
Yeah, I have not heard of it either. I'm more than happy to look into just about anything, just because I like to learn new things in general.
Awesome. Okay, that was from Kilo Doggy 1. And it looks like here's another one from translator for Jungle Jargon. If he can back up any of his assertions with actual peer-reviewed citations instead of propaganda, ? So do you have any peer-reviewed scientific evidence that I can post for the audience on any of these things for your in your geology stuff, for example?
Yeah, basically what I have is common knowledge, what they tell us, basically what we know is common knowledge, and I just put it together mostly.
Okay,
But
I'll do it for you.
I'm not good on research, because I don't have the time. But there are people that do the research.
Don't worry, man. I'll do it for you. I'm going to post in the peer-reviewed science of the Ashley phosphate bed of North Carolina, and it is now in the chat for everybody to touch on it. And that is the actual book, but it was written in the 1800s. So that's probably why you never heard of it, Frustrated Atheist. It's a long time ago. Oh, we got a super chat in from Toga Art. Frustrated Atheist. Do you think humans will evolve past religious? I'm scrolling off my screen. Hold on. Religiosity as climate change progresses, or will we cling to mythical beliefs? No hate to theists.
Well, so this is I'm personally not someone who is out to get any type of theist. I really don't care if you have a belief system in anything. But as far as what my thoughts are, if humans would ever evolve to outgrow it, I would say that if I were to make an uneducated guess, I would have to say probably not. I mean, because there are certain aspects of religion that naturally draw people in, as far as like the community, the closeness, and all sorts of other different things. I don't. So for those aspects, I don't see that ever dying out. One can make an argument that since there are since it is kind of on a steady decline, Christianity is kind of on a steady decline, that not like super fast steady decline, but enough to where it's noticeable, that one could argue that we could be phasing out, but I, to be honest, don't think we would. I think that Christianity could get down to the point where maybe a handful of sects still are around, but those handful of sects will still be around, and they may grow in numbers again. And so I just don't personally see that ever actually being a thing. Nor do I really care that it stays around. If Christianity stayed around for millions and millions of years from now, that would mean no difference to me whatsoever. That could be because I live in the Bible Belt, so Christianity has never bothered me per se until somebody mocks somebody else's belief, type of thing. But I just don't personally, like I said, me personally, I don't believe that it would fade out. I don't think that there would be an evolutionary development, A, in our lifetime, and B, I don't think it ever phase out religion.
Yeah, got it. All right. Well, praise. I did not have any more questions. Did you get any more coming in? I didn't see any.
Yeah, there's one that I think it didn't get sent to you, got cut off. So this is from Dave Langer. This is for JJ. Are you Mr. Plinkett from Red Letter Media?
No, I don't know who that is.
Maybe you sound
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know who that is either.
I do have videos of me of me in the video. I wear sunglasses.
Oh my goodness! You mean we would actually see your face?
Yeah. I have lots of videos.
For those who don't know, this isn't the first time I've had chats with Jungle Jargon, either on these or in the live chat.
Were you on Jill's channel too?
Have I ever been on Jill's channel? No, I've never been on Jill's channel. I don't even think I've ever been in a live chat of Jill's channel. But I have been around Jill a lot as well because of the fact that he is always in Jay Passick's channel, and I go and hang out with him from time to time.
He was just in the chat. I just saw him earlier.
So,
yeah, I did too.
Did you do the Time Lord one, Matt? Because I have like Magic Pandas, Time Lord. Did you get those?
No, I didn't. If you got them, read them for me. Thanks.
All right. So this is from Time Lord for both JJ, or for both, but JJ first. Can you explain radiometric dating? Thanks.
Well, radiometric dating, from what I understand, is taking the half-life of a certain decay of a certain element and seeing how long it changes from one element to another, and seeing what's left in the sample, and you try to calculate how old the thing is based on that. But you have to know what it started out with, what kind of contamination there was, and there's just a whole bunch of variables in it.
And if you want to answer that too, you can. Frustrated.
Well, JJ didn't answer it too terribly bad. So radiometric dating spans across a bunch of different elements. You have actual carbon, where you measure the half-life of carbon. Then you have potassium argon, where you measure the I think potassium turns into argon, or the vice versa. I don't remember which, because it's been a while since I looked that up. But where you measure the daughter isotope to the parent isotope, the mother isotope, and you get like General Jargon said, you'll get an age of whatever it is that you're dating. Carbon normally is for organic material, whereas you can also do other types for like crystals and whatnot.
Gotcha. So this is Magic Pandas. This is so he's saying, ask JJ where all of the deposited sediment came from. What eroded to make that much material all over the globe?
Well, I did mention today in this discussion that there are sediment layers that are Precambrian, and I believe those layers are from the world that existed from before the flood, because some of those layers have organisms in it, the top layers, but the bottom layers don't have any fossils whatsoever, from what I understand. So I believe that they are pre-flood layers of sediment that were, of course, whenever you do have a flood, it's just like everything, it just liquefies the sediment, and of course you have huge volumes of water, so you're just shifting huge amounts of sediments all over the place, and with boulders and rocks and everything, sand, everything. So all the sediments are of what already existed at the time, of different environments and such like that, and they were just shifted and stacked eventually on top of each other, more or less. And then when when you had the runoff, that's when the water sank down and formed the deep oceans. And in the process, the water, the runoff, eroded like about half this sediment layers into the ocean, and most of that was subducted underneath the continents because it's no longer there.
Gotcha. Yeah, it sounds like someone's chopping like
Yeah, that's
celery.
me.
Okay.
I'm chopping onions for dinner.
So this is from Josiah or Josiah in the Hebrew. Hanson.
Josiah.
So this is okay. Charity question for Russ. How's it going, bud?
Oh, it's going pretty good, Josiah. You know, just hanging in there. Currently making spaghetti with sausage for dinner. Other than that, not too bad. How about yourself?
And that will conclude all the questions and super chats. So we really appreciate all those and everyone in the chat.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, okay. Good job, guys. I think it went well. I didn't even have to step in, so that was good. Even though you guys got heated, that was fun. I'm sure the audience liked it.
We learn all the time.
Yeah.
Learn how to grow up.
The thing is I already knew going in that it might happen. It tends to happen with atheists and especially young Earth creationists. But you know, for knowing what was going to happen, it wasn't actually too terribly bad.
Right. It's okay. The audience loved it. I'm sure they don't want some boring, neutral debate. People want to see some action. So
if one of us had actually agreed with the other a lot, then I definitely think that people have been like, okay, I think I'm going to go watch something else.
For sure. Modern day debate. Somebody asked earlier, actually, not to you guys, but they said, does modern day debate only deal with creation versus evolution? And no, James will have multiple debates on multiple different topics. So if you wanted to debate yourself, just wait till this video is done and then leave a comment down in the comment section directed at James or Modern Day Debate and tell him that you want to debate on a particular subject, and he will find you a debate. So
yeah, okay. I've actually got to. I'm actually going to be once I get everything all situated with him and situated in general. I'm going to be debating T-jump. On the subject of if personal experience is enough to warrant is enough justification for a belief.
Oh, okay. When's that going to be? Do you know?
No, like I said, I've got to be able to get all situated about it. Me and him got to get together with Modern Day Debate. I just really busy. Like this week, I'm pumping in over 60 hours at work, and I just got to be able to find a time to where I can get everything I need to get done in my personal life done, and have time to be able to get together with him. It's not going to be a surprise. He is on the side that is no, it is not enough justification, whereas I'm the mindset that that personal experience is enough justification to warrant a belief, which I already know puts me in a minority of atheists, which I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that'll be good. TJ Jump loves to debate too, man. I see him every week on one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's irritating because while I don't have any real issues with the guy himself, like as far as him as a person, it's just that he takes a strictly naturalistic approach to everything, and I just find that to be flawed. It's like, because there's certain things that you can't take a naturalistic approach to. It's just every time you do, it's going to end up with bad results. And taking I already know his position is most likely going to be that if the personal experience cannot be what's the word? If it cannot be shown to be real, then it is not real, and therefore shouldn't warrant a belief. And I just no, that's not how that works at all.
Nice. Well, that's good that you actually research your opponent. So because he's so skilled at debating, it'll be good that you've got some kind of idea what he's like.
Yeah. Well, because he was on non sequitur before the non sequitur went away, and I actually called in and said that, and that's when he started to go off on if you can't show it to be true type of thing, and I'm like, no.
So the heathen put this last question in. How about dominionism versus Sharia for a future topic? I mean, that'd be up to James. He would. I guarantee you'd probably be open to that if we could find
Dominionism.
Yeah, dominionism and Sharia. I guess that's Sharia law. I don't know what Sharia is.
If it is Sharia law, I think Sharia law just has to be with head covering. I don't know all of Sharia law, but I'm curious on what dominionism is.
Right.
That's the term I've never heard.
That would be God reigning as king on earth.
Okay, is that what that is?
I don't know. I'm asking.
Christian political ideologies.
Huh.
Yeah, political.
Oh God. The thing is I'm a little torn on all that. It's hard to say how I feel about ruling over anybody, whether it be like a president or whatnot, with a strict Christian, like especially if it's like the Matt Powell of the world type of thing, because I see a lot of problems arising from that. I don't know how close any of y'all are with Matt Powell. Are any of y'all like friends, or like y'all follow the same belief style that he does?
Nope.
Well, that's the reason. That's the reason why we have separation from church and state,
Yes.
is because of all the problems that arise from one person,
Exactly.
trying to be God or something,
Exactly, and that's the problem with like the Matt Powell, because Matt Powell, Stephen Anderson, all them, they would be absolutely 100% happy with the theocracy and with their chosen religion in place. In which case, there's a lot of people who would end up in either dead or locked up for eternity.
Right, and the problem with it is that God is not the one, calling the shots. It's that the people want to be in there and call the shots for themselves.
Yeah, and the thing is, the sad thing is when it comes to people like I said, like Matt Powell and whatnot, is that it's not just that they're calling the shots; it's they're calling the shots while saying that they're calling that it's God that's revealing this to them to call the shots, and that alone I find problematic, and I know that most Christians would find that problematic as well because they would sit there and look at him and be like, "My God does not." You do not speak for my God.
We know from experience that it doesn't work, and it's the same thing true with communism too. We're supposed to be a communistic society, but when people get in charge, they mess it all up. Same thing.
Because the thing, because the way that what's his name? I'm drawing a blank. The guy who thought up communism. What's his name?
Marx. You got Marx,
Bernie.
Lenin. Yeah.
Bernie Sanders?
Marx. Karl Marx. No, Karl Marx, whenever he had this idea, it was one of those just utopian ideas that, in theory, it would work perfectly if you had people who were all willing to work together and do all this stuff together. What he forgot to factor in was the fact that while, yes, we are a society of people, we're also a society of individuals who do not get along. I mean, we're not going to get along 24/7. And on top of that, him trying to, it's no secret that he definitely thought that the best way to pull this off would be to have an atheist society. And that alone, again, is problematic because while some people could sit there and say, oh, he says that to successfully pull it off, you'd have to have an atheist society. Doesn't mean you have to have one. While others would be like, oh, yes, you do. And then you get people like Lenin and Stalin who said, oh, well, we are going to force this upon people. And if they don't like it, well, then to the gulag. Or death.
Yeah. So translator Carminium says, as I understand, dominionism is a fancy word for theocracy or doctrinal advocacy thereof. So yeah, I mean that's what we were thinking. So
yeah. So okay, so it's a fancy term for theocracy, which again, like we've already said, it's problematic. I don't think any of us would disagree that having a theocracy in charge becomes problematic.
Yeah.
Well, it would be. The problem is that we're not perfect. That's what the problem is. I mean, if we were perfect, a theocracy would be fine, but we're not perfect.
Well, it's just the same way with communism. If we all just got along, communism would work too.
Yeah.
We're one of those things that, it's what if, my uncle always said things like, what if my aunt had a penis, then he'd be my uncle. I mean, it's what if never really helps when it comes to these types of topics. We're just gonna have to realize that the best way to go about living our lives is the way we have it, with the separation of church and state. If it's going to maximize not only the happiness but the life of everyone within the society.
Yeah. So we're going to call it here, probably conclude this. One thing I wanted to add, though, is people like Matt Powell, they have the misunderstanding of Christian doctrines, and I mean, that's a huge problem. So, yeah, I think,
oh, yeah.
I did a stream against him. You can check it out. And I expose that type of false doctrine. So people, if they want to check it out, they can. Does anyone want to conclude this? If you want to say something, Jungle Jargon or Frustrated Atheist, go ahead and say it now, and we'll close it up.
Well,
go ahead, Jargon.
Yeah, I enjoyed the debate. It wasn't too bad. I enjoyed the discussion with Frustrated Atheists, and just basically we can continue the discussion, maybe,
Yeah, I would say that I definitely didn't. It wasn't one of the worst ones I've had. I've had some pretty bad ones with Nephi. But it's definitely one of you and I's better discussions. It wasn't too terribly bad.
Good, good. That's all that matters, and the audience seemed to like it a lot. So I guess we'll start wrapping it up. Again, thanks everybody for watching, and thanks for sending in your questions and super chats. We appreciate it. Well, James appreciates that. If you enjoyed,
look, James, all I'm gonna say it to James. I'm so sorry. My wife just got on to me for yelling. But the one thing I have to say, James, is we're constantly over here busting up this content for you. Something wouldn't be too bad to send our way.
There you go. Awesome. And if you guys watching enjoyed, then remember, post your comments below and say who you want to see debate, or if you want to debate yourself, just leave a comment. And if you enjoyed these debaters, make sure to find their channels. They'll be posted below under Show More after the show's over. And I wanted to personally thank you, Praise, for stepping in and helping me mod tonight. That's great. And thanks everybody for watching. And until next time.